Hello, everybody. I'm Jackie K. Cooper, and today is a special day because we get a chance to talk with Sheryl J. Anderson, who is the showrunner of the hugely popular Sweet Magnolias. It's on Netflix. And we're hoping that this interview will air on February 4th, which is the day that the second season kicks off.
How lovely.
But right off the start, we're going to talk about Sweet Magnolias and everything. But Sheryl, explain to me what a showrunner is.
Well, a showrunner is the person who runs the show, in that I'm the head writer while we're writing, but I am also one of the executive producers, so that while we're in production, in consultation with my co-EPs and my line producers and all my department heads, I'm overseeing all the decisions that are being made. And when people have questions or problems, from the tiny ones to the big ones, they can come to me. I'm very fortunate in that I have an amazing team on Sweet Magnolias. So even though the many bucks may stop here, I am never making a decision alone or in a vacuum, because I really admire and trust and rely on the rest of the members of my team.
That's great. That is great. But so you're on set every day?
Unless I'm in casting or editing or location scouting, yes. The beauty of the way that Netflix does shows like ours, we do all the writing and then we go to set. So I'm able to be there every day, which is such a blessing to me.
Well, now, let me ask you, as the showrunner, did you have a hand in the casting of the show?
I did. Again, it was a collaborative effort. Our casting director, our executive producer, our producing director. But yes, I had some very strong thoughts along the way.
Well, I'm telling you, you ended up with such a fantastic cast, though, especially your three lead women. They are just amazing.
Yes.
I wasn't as familiar with Brooke Elliott before. Mm-hmm. I knew Joanna Garcia from Reba. And has there ever been a year when Joanna Garcia Swisher did not have a TV series? Heather Headley, I became aware of her back when she was on Broadway and won the Tony. So, gosh, you have got a wealth of talent.
Again, there are so many blessings in this show, and the fact that we have such a dynamic and deeply talented cast is a huge part of it. And yes, the writer's room is full of theater nerds, which was why we were like, oh, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could get Heather? And we all had terrific admiration for Joanna and Brooke too. So the fact that we were able to get all three of them, it excites me every day.
Well, are we going to get to hear Heather sing? Because I love her voice.
You may be pleased.
I would be very pleased. I would be very pleased.
You take a look and you let me know.
All right. But I'm February 4th. Now, is it going to be so that we can watch the entire season at one time? Oh, my Lord. There goes.
Yes, sir.
There goes Friday night, Saturday night. I'll be watching around the clock.
I appreciate that.
There was such an immediate reaction to this show, in my opinion, that it was like the fans became devoted fans instantaneously.
And it's like making a good friend, right?
Yes. Well, Sheryl, that's like you and me. This is us for the first time face to face, but having corresponded with you and everything and watched, done the research and everything, I feel like we're friends. I thought, oh my gosh, Sheryl's coming on.
I felt the same way. I've been like, for over a week, like, oh, almost time to talk to Jackie. So, that bond that you form with people who make you feel appreciated, who make you smile and laugh. I think that's a big part of the magic of Serenity, and a big part of what the audience has responded to.
Well, again, we don't know each other that well except through mess. But I feel like so much a part of you is in that show.
Well, I
appreciate
that. I appreciate that very much. There is a lot of me, but there's also a lot of the other writers, and there's a lot of the cast and crew. I believe that our community speaks so strongly to everyone because it's created by a community, and a community of artists who are invested genuinely in what we're doing. I always tell everybody, both in the writer's room and on set, we work too hard not to have a good time.
Yes.
And I want people to come from a place of joy. And I genuinely believe that when you come from a place of joy, you do better work. And I think that is communicating itself to the audience, that we all believe in what we're saying about being in community and being there for each other and wanting to lift each other up.
Which is the whole theme of the show.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And me, I like to watch shows. I like complexities, I like drama, I like comedy, I like the whole thing. But I like to know that the people I am tuning into and becoming attached to are good people. And your characters come across as good people. And of course, I think you know this. I grew up in a small South Carolina town, Clinton, South Carolina. And so Serenity, South Carolina, to me is like, going to the town next door.
Wonderful.
I grew up there, in a sense.
I am delighted to hear that. And I know that was one of the first intentions we had in the show, was to be respectful of a particular kind of town and the people who live there and who are devoted to the life of the town as well as the life in the town. We have several writers who are from small towns, and so they always caution us if we're doing something that's not authentic, and we make that adjustment. But I also, I'll admit, because I grew up on military bases, not in small towns, that part of this is also crafting the kind of place we'd all like to live, particularly with so many of the writers living in Los Angeles now. And I think there's a certain yearning for a closer, quieter way of life. Not that Serenity's quiet.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
We try to keep everybody on their toes and, embracing joys and meeting challenges. But I would happily live in Serenity myself.
Well, now, where do y'all actually film?
We film in Georgia.
I knew it was in Georgia.
Our sound stages are in, it's Georgia. And our sound stages are in Decatur, and a large percentage of our locations are in Covington and the towns around Covington. A lot of people have pointed out that we have the same clock tower as Vampire Diaries. Yes, we do. Maddie's house is across the street from Elena's house. Covington is a beautiful, beautiful town, not just on camera, but to be in. And they are very welcoming to the film community, and we really enjoy shooting there.
Great. I want to go just a little bit though into your background, because I love the journey that someone starts out and where they end up. You went to school at William and Mary. I think
Yes.
I looked that up. Did you study film there?
I did not. There was not a film department. I'm not sure there's a film department now. I was a theater major. I thought I was going to be a playwright.
Ah,
And when I graduated, a couple of friends who had been in the department ahead of me had come out to Los Angeles. And as one infamously told me, don't go to New York, come to LA. The weather's better and the money's better.
okay.
And
Wise words.
very wise words. And whenever I get frustrated, I call her and remind her that this was her idea. But when I came out here, I thought I would write features, but I started working at a television production company and fell in love with television. And I actually started in half hour, but I wanted to tell more complex stories. And so I moved into hour, and that's my sweet spot. I mean, I love plays, I love features, I love half hour, but hour television has proven to be my sweet spot. I love it.
And I tell you, I'm old enough to have lived through the golden age of television. We're back in the golden age of television.
It certainly seems so, to the point where it's difficult to keep up. I always have friends texting, oh my gosh, are you watching this? And I'm like, no, not yet. So don't talk about it, because we live in an age of spoiler alerts. But there is so much good work out there, and so many wonderful, strong, unique voices and points of view coming to TV. I agree with you. I do think that this is a golden age.
Now, the first season, everybody loved. And then we said, bring on the second. And bring on the second. And bring on the second.
Well, I didn't know if you noticed, there's this little thing called a pandemic happening.
I know.
We tried.
But now, I wonder though, if it was planned originally for there to be X amount of time between the seasons. Was there ever a specific?
Well, where the pandemic hit, we weren't sure what that space was going to be. And so all the shutdowns defined that space. I do think that ideally we would have come back sooner than this. We all recognize that it's been a long time. So we encourage everybody to rewatch season 1 so that they have the names and faces fresh in their minds. But it was never anyone's intention for it to be this long. It's really because of the pandemic. And I so admire that Netflix said, we're not going to do anything until we can be sure to keep people safe and healthy.
That's paramount. But it's a testimonial to the show that people's interest does not seem to have flagged. Yeah.
I'm very
emails saying, when's the second season? It wasn't like, oh, I forgot about that. No. They're added.
I got Christmas cards that said who's in the car. I am delighted and grateful that people have maintained their passion for the show. And it's also been interesting, just sort of keeping a casual eye on social media. People have continued to discover the show over the time between seasons. And just in the last couple of weeks, and I'm sure we can thank the fans who have been talking about, oh, I'm going to rewatch, so it's all fresh in my mind, that we have new viewers going, I'm sorry, what? How did I, let me watch. And then they come back and go, oh, I'm so excited. Where's season 2? So it's, the whole streaming world is fascinating to me. How people find the show at very interesting times, and the ability to rewatch it if they want to. It's delightful.
Well, having enjoyed it so much and knowing you, I'm very protective of the show. And I have 2 complaints, not against you.
Okay.
Against you. TV Guide came out with its coming up projected all these shows, and where was my Steel Magnolias? It was not there. Secondly, Entertainment Weekly came out with its projection, and there was Reacher, but not Sweet Magnolias, and that makes me mad.
Well, I appreciate your frustration on our behalf. And I will just say that the journalists talking about season 2 coming, there are more articles coming, have been really lovely. And that's always the difficulty with putting together a list. It's always like, well, what would have been 11 and 12? And but I appreciate that very, very much, Jackie. I'm glad that we're on your top 10.
We just let TV Guide and Entertainment Weekly. But before we run out of time, I do want to quickly turn to your next project, in addition to Sweet Magnolias, the Peachtree Bluff.
So Peachtree Bluff is another delightful series of novels.
Love the books.
And
Wilson Harvey is terrific.
I adore Christy, and it's a project in development. We aren't sure what's going to happen yet. But working with Christy and Karen on it has been lovely, and I am hopeful that there's a future for the show.
Well, it's a beautiful series. I mean,
it is.
It really would adapt well, I think. And let me ask you this too, Sheryl, though. That, I think, what I've read is it may be a project on NBC.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference in putting a show on network television and putting a show on Netflix?
Well,
or is there a difference?
No, there are multiple differences. The streaming world has a different pace than the network world, and network is also, you're usually looking at 13 at a time, not 6 or 10, and it's, I would say the biggest differences are pace and the ability to, maybe I shouldn't say this. There seems to be a different taste for how quickly you reveal information. That streamers are more comfortable with slow burns than networks are.
Okay.
But that's based on my very specific experience. That's not necessarily a blanket statement.
I understand. Okay. Now, Sweet Magnolias is based on a series of books, too. Sheryl
Woods, who is also the author of the books behind Chesapeake Shores, which is my executive producer Dan Paulson's show on Hallmark.
Right. Now, how closely to Sheryl Woods' books is the show? High points are
that absolutely high points. And I love Miss Woods, and I love her writing, and she has been so supportive of us. We are less close in season 2 than we were in season 1, but she was very supportive of that. And part of that is there are characters that we put in the show that are not in the books. So in following those characters, we moved a little further from the books. But we took the core characters, the core relationships, and some of the tentpole moments, as we would call them, directly from her books. But most importantly, Miss Woods created these 3 women and what I consider to be a testament to the power of female friendship. And that's why I wanted to do the show. And so I hope that even as we change or add story elements, that the audience is responding to the spirit of Miss Woods' books, because that's what we seek to respect in every episode.
Well, I love the way too that, I was so intent, and I've gone back and watched, episodes from the first season, but I was so intent on the 3 women and focusing on them. But you have some great side characters, the ex-husband, the new boyfriend, the ex-husband's new wife, whatever. Justin Bruning, Chris Klein, Jamie Lynn Spears. I'm ready to explore their stories too. And they're all
Absolutely.
back. And they're all back for second season, correct?
They are. I like to say we have an incredibly deep bench, and you could take any character in Serenity and make them the center of the Serenity universe and still tell compelling stories. In part because in the room, we work until every character is multidimensional and has their own highs and lows and their own space that they're striving to own. We're all the protagonists of our own stories, and I want to reflect that in what we're doing with Sweet Magnolias.
Well, I don't want to seem to overlook the young actors who play the children, et cetera, because they're all great too. But
yes,
I guess you do have a deep bench, because when the camera shifts to another person or whatever, it's not like a letdown. You're right there on an even level going to their story.
Absolutely. And one of our mottos from the very beginning has been, we want everyone to see themselves in Serenity. And so that invitation can only be sincerely extended if we're sincere about every individual character being as well represented as the others.
Well, I want to say this too to you, Sheryl. As a person of faith, I appreciate the way you bring the church as so much a part of Serenity. It's a central focal point. And
well, thank you.
I don't know if that was in the books or not, or if that was
in the books. The church is a present part of their lives. But I was very fortunate that Miss Woods and Dan Paulson and Netflix were very supportive of my desire to delve more deeply into how much a part of their lives the church is. I picked a Lutheran church because I'm Lutheran, and I wanted to be comfortable with knowing that what we were saying about the church was so. But I think not just in the South, but a lot of small towns, the church is a hub.
right.
So we wanted to portray that, but also because I'm a woman of faith, and most of my closest friends are too, I understood how shared faith was a crucial part of that dynamic. And we wanted to show that in the series also.
I also, and you know, having been raised in the South and lived here all my life, I love that the matter, I want to say this right, but that race is not an issue. It's not a pointed out issue. It's the way it should be. And that comes across so strongly. And that, again, I lay at your feet.
Well, thank you. I told Miss Woods when I first spoke to her that I wanted this to be a diverse town, that I was going to have a diverse writer's room, and that's where everyone sees themselves in Serenity comes from, but also that everyone is seen with acceptance and respect.
Well, it comes across, and to me, that's another lure of the series as a whole. How long do you see it going?
As long as they'll let us.
Well, you know, speaking for me, we'll be here forever.
That would be bliss. I would love that.
Sheryl, this has been fantastic.
I've enjoyed this so much, Jackie. Thank you.
This was great.
It's like stopping by to have a cup of coffee with a friend. So thank you for welcoming me into your home.
Well, thank you for coming by. And season 4, like I say, we hope this interview airs on February 4th and kicks off the season. We're all excited about it. I wish you nothing but great success. And let's do this again sometime.
I would love that. And you let me know what you think of season 2.
Oh, I will definitely let you know. And
I appreciate that.
It will be quick because I will be binge watching all the way.
Wonderful. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you. But this has been Jackie K. Cooper with a very special interview with the showrunner of Sweet Magnolias, Sheryl J. Anderson. Thank you so much.
Thank you.